This is Liz Coley, and welcome back to Undercover Reading. We're reading The Captain's Kid, Chapter 8, Part 10. We're about to land on Esperanza. Esperanza's blue and brown presence grew in the observation windows. Everyone buzzed with anticipation of locking into orbit, the end of Phase 1 of what had become a 3-phase journey. Now that Masuna had come out in public, I saw her around the ship, usually deep in conversation with small groups of people. When Dad announced cheerfully from the bridge that we were officially in orbit, a cheer rang out through the dining room. I jumped up from the table, leaving dessert half-eaten. I had something important to do for cross-cultural relations. I dashed back to the room and requested an outside link to the Esperanza information system. I prowled until I located the school system netmail list for students and composed a message. Dear future friends, it may be days before we all meet in person. Log into our SSIS and request access to Frontier Worlds. We'll meet you there. From Brandon Webb, middleman. I sent off the message and crossed fingers, hoping the Sequayuno kids would be as hooked on games as we were. I couldn't think of a better way to meet people without appearances getting in the way. Dad burst into the room in an apparent hurry. I followed the crashing sounds as far as the sitting room and waited till Dad emerged with a duffel. My chest bumped with excitement. Are we going down? Wait, I'm not packed. You didn't tell me. Whoa, boy, Dad laughed. Just me tonight. I've got serious business to attend to. The laugh in his voice and the sparkle in his eye didn't match with serious business. Aw. I tried to look pathetically disappointed, which wasn't hard. What about me? I'll take you down tomorrow, kiddo. It's going to be great. Hey, not everyone gets to visit, you know. Yeah. I'll try to be patient. It lasted about 3 seconds. Please, I whined. Tomorrow. Love you, Spidey. Be good. Dad violently kissed my cheek and practically flew out the door, humming words that sounded like tonight. What's all that about? I wondered. By noon the next day, Dad still hadn't reappeared, and I was getting annoyed. I'd spent my morning on the frontier. 5 new players joined all at once while I was live. Hooray, it worked. They'd gotten my invitation. I messaged a bunch of our people to join in, and pretty soon we had a humming community. After 3 hours, though, I felt restless and was considering logging off when the front door opened. Dad? I called. Hey, kiddo! An excessively cheerful voice called back. Are you packed? I logged off. Not yet. It'll just take me a minute. I'll be generous and give you 5, Dad said. I've got to get cleaned up anyway. Wear shorts. It's hot. I got to the doorway just in time to see Dad, extremely disheveled and unshaven, heading for the shower. An unmistakable trail of spicy perfume lagged behind him. I stood there for a minute, trying to process the information. Crazed whistling broke through the sound of the shower spray. My stomach went all peculiar. My excitement turned to dust. Had Dad taken Miss Jan down to the planet last night? Without me? And stayed? With her? Okay, I thought facing the planet would help him heal, but this was more than I bargained for, much more. It was gross. It was disrespectful. Sacrilegious. Like dancing on a grave. My knees buckled, and I was still sitting on a floor, dazed, when Dad came out of the bathroom. Hey, are you ready, kiddo? He didn't even notice me. I hauled myself to my feet, mechanically walked to the closet, and grabbed the duffel, stuffed in 3 shirts and a pair of shorts, and zipped it closed. Ready, I muttered. Dad grabbed the duffel and set off down the corridor with a bounce in his step. This was just way too weird and awful. Masuna was waiting in the shuttle bay with her luggage. Ah, there he is, I heard Dad say. Mo headed toward us as well, unburdened by any bags. Why was he coming along? To keep me company? Mo shrugged his shoulders, saying, Pretty cool, huh? During the shuttle ride, Dad sat up in the cockpit with the pilot. Mo and I were glued to the window, watching the planet get closer over the half-hour descent. The windows opaqued as we passed through the atmosphere, shielding from the extreme heat. Then we broke through, and the landmarks below started to become clear. The Sequayuno settlement stretched over several miles, the dirt-colored dwellings blending into the background. The fields were a brownish green, alive but not healthy. Beyond the settlement, waves of yellow grass stood out against the red soil, and the coastline was a spectacular sight. Brilliant blue water sparkling along red sand beaches, edged with foamy white breakers. Up the way from the settlement, the ground rose toward coastal cliffs. Closer in we flew until I could make out tiny dots below, running along under our path and waving until we left them far behind. The shuttle came to ground on a cleared hard spot near the fields, away from the buildings. A greeting committee clustered to meet us. The heat rose in waves from the dirt, making the air shimmer out of focus. I let Masuna exit first, knowing how anxious she was to see her people. Sure enough, she had hardly stepped off the boarding ramp when the greeters surrounded her. Mo and I came slowly down the ramp. The heat wrapped us like a hot towel and stole my breath. With a strange cry, Mo broke away, ran down the ramp, and flung his arms around a tall figure in the crowd. When he looked back, tears streaked his face. Was he going crazy? I took a harder look at the person Mo was wrapped around. My mouth fell open, and the bags dropped from my hands. That wasn't a Sequuno. It was a man who looked unmistakably like Mo. I was still processing this idea when Dad prodded me from behind. Go on. A small figure embracing Masuna separated and stepped toward the ramp. I stared in puzzlement, in total confusion. She was familiar. She was... Who was she? Tune in tomorrow.